Have you ever had a conversation with another person who is physically present but mentally somewhere else? Perhaps you shared something exceptionally important only to be met with a nod, a distracted, or worse, an answer that doesn't make any sense, or pure silence. Authentic active listening is not just about hearing words. It's about understanding and connecting and creating space so that people feel valued and empowered. Today, we're going to be talking about active listening and how it not just shaped my coaching journey, but also connected to the important people in my life. Now, instead of just here yapping at y'all, what I'm going to do is encourage you to engage in the chat. We're going to talk about three different types of listening: competitive listening, discovery listening, and empathetic listening. And yes, there's going to be a test at the end, so you have to listen up. I want to start with the elephant in the room, which is competitive listening. We have all done it, and I know you have, where you're talking and then you're making a counterpoint. I want to hear from you what you feel competitive listening is all about. Drop your thoughts in the chat. Being the first one to speak over the speaker. Absolutely, Freddie. Listening, but waiting to talk. Thinking about your answer while somebody's talking. Being the best idea in the room, Braden. I love that. We got to be the smartest guy in the room. When you're listening, to one up the story. Absolutely. Really great examples of competitive listening. Competitive listening has its place in debates, negotiations, conversations where persuasion is key. It has its roots in the teachings from Aristotle, whose work in rhetoric, I should say, emphasizes the importance of being argumentative and making counterpoints. While competitive listening can be useful in structured environment, it serves no purpose when we're having a one-on-one conversation or in a group setting. Competitive listening can actually pull away the important connection, and it might actually steer you away from somebody else's agenda or what's important to them. So yes, competitive listening is something we can do, but try to use it sparingly. Recognize when you're slipping into that competitive listening mode, and instead of preparing your response, take a breath and refocus on what that other person's viewpoint is. Next up is discovery listening. Talk to me about what you think discovery listening is all about, and then I'll share my thoughts. What is discovery listening all about? Sandra, seeking to understand. Absolutely. Freddie, listening to learn, being curious. Shayla, listening to learn more information. Absolutely. When I think about this discovery listening, I like to think of it as being Sherlock Holmes of listening, trying to solve a mystery of what lies beneath the surface. Now, this style closely aligns with the principles of Carl Rogers, who was a pioneer in humanistic psychology. He believed that understanding both the verbal and the nonverbal, those small nuances of speech that we don't use by words, so the eye contact, the way we're leaning in, those are all really important components of discovery listening. Now, I vividly remember a coaching session where one of my coachees responded with, she's fine, but her body language spoke otherwise. She was slumping in posture, sighing in between her words, and a really hesitant tone. That gave me the heads up that I really needed to step into curiosity. And one of the beautiful things about discovery listening is it's a great place to ask questions. So I dug into my Sherlock Holmes, nature, and I asked a question. I said, what else is there that I need to know? And that one simple little trick unlocked a beautiful conversation. So I encourage you when you're sitting down talking with folks, lean in, look, pay attention to what they're saying, but also what they're doing. Are there pauses, hesitations, shifting in tone? These subtle cues can lead to reveal what words cannot. And finally, empathetic listening. What is empathetic listening? Drop your thoughts in the chat. Listening for emotions, Tammy, absolutely. Freddie, discovering where to care, listening to connect emotionally, being there for support, Melanie, great call out. Absolutely. Empathetic listening takes active listening to its most deepest level. Stephen Covey said brilliantly in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People that empathetic listening is to seek first to understand, then to be understood. It's the foundation of being present and caring. It is also something that Carl Rogers champions in his person-centered therapy approach. Now, when I first started in coaching 10 years ago, I knew all the answers. I was eager to offer solutions. But what I quickly realized is what I thought was being helpful was not actually helping. So we needed to listen. The key takeaway here is practice being fully present. Putting down your phone, maintaining eye contact, digging into a few what or how questions, are going to take you to the next level. When we have that opportunity to leverage things like discovery and empathetic listening, it actually brings us closer to the folks that we care about the most. So I encourage you to step into discovery and empathetic listening more often than competitive listening. Now, are you ready for that quiz? Just kidding. Back to you, Braden.